So you're in your 60s or 60s plus and you've been swimming all your life. Fantastic. I want to be like you. Swimming for me has been such an important part of my life, and I'm sure it is for yourself as well. And I just really love to encourage swimmers in their 60s plus to keep on swimming. In fact, one of my swimmers in my squad, the lovely Barry Eves, is now 86 years of age, and he still swims with me 3 or 4 times per week, doing anywhere between 3 and 5 kilometers. And his number one tip in life in general is to never ever stop. He once had a couple of weeks break and it really threw him into a bit of a kilter, threw like a bit of a spanner in the works for old Barry there, and he said he'd never do that again. It's so important that this routine and ritual that you establish with your swimming is something that you keep on going, because as soon as you stop, it's very difficult to get started back again. And really, that is my first tip. By working with many older swimmers over the last 20 years or so, and here in Perth, many of my squad swimmers are in that age bracket. We have lots of swimmers in their 60s and 70s. By and large, their greatest accomplishment is simply being consistent with their training. You don't need me to tell you that. You're a lifetime swimmer for a reason. It's because you are consistent with your training. But if you've ever wondered, I'll maybe just take a few weeks off here, or it's getting a little bit cold, maybe I won't do it again this winter, please don't. Please keep up that consistency. It really pays dividends down the line. Tip number 2 is don't be too serious. Now, many people over the years have accused me of being very serious, and I probably tend to agree with them. I do need to chillax a little bit, to use the word of the younger generation. But the whole idea here is that don't take yourself too seriously. Swimming alongside old Barry Eves in the squad is a guy called John Elliott. He's one of my favourite friends and favourite characters in swimming. He never takes himself too seriously. He comes along because he knows the social engagement and the atmosphere of swimming within the squad is really good for his general well-being and health. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He's not building up for any events or anything like that. So please try to consider, if you are one of those people like me who gets a little bit uptight and wants to be like that, one of the biggest things I've learned from coaching this wonderful cohort of swimmers over the years is just how to chill out a little bit and just to really enjoy the moment of actually being there in the pool with your mates. Now, tip number 3 is something which I've given personal short shrift to as well over the years, and you can probably see just how rewarding that coach-athlete relationship actually is. I may be coaching these athletes, these swimmers in the pool deck on a day-to-day basis, but they're actually giving a lot back to me as well, just from me learning from what makes them tick and what makes them happy, more importantly than anything else. And one of the crazy things, seemingly to myself, is how do you have time for coffee after every swim? Well, if you're tired, then of course maybe you do have time for that, but even if you're not, making time for that post-swim drink, as long as it's not necessarily gin and tonic every time, just having a coffee or a hot chocolate or whatever with your mates and just having a little bit of a chin wag is so important. And it's something which I've made it my duty for my own self to really make sure that I'm actually doing, because I'm trying to follow in the footsteps of all those older swimmers who have inspired me over the years by coming down to the squad and swimming with us and always going for a drink with their mates afterwards. My final tip, tip number 4, is don't be afraid to take on a bit of a challenge. So I mentioned beforehand about maybe not being too serious, about being consistent with your training and just enjoying swimming for swimming's sake, going for a drink with your mates. But don't allow that to say to yourself, okay, well, I can't take on any challenge then. It might be really good for you just to actually identify a particular swimming event at some point in the future that you want to build up for. I'll never forget quite a few swimmers when the World Masters Swimming Championships came here to Perth in 2008. They wanted to train up and do some of the unusual events, or maybe events of their youth. And I thought to myself, wow, okay, you know, John here or Mike here there wants to actually do their 50 meters of butterfly. I mean, that's great. It's absolutely fantastic. So don't be afraid to take on a little bit of a challenge. And as we do within our squad here in Perth, I still ensure that everybody in the squad is included in the idea of actually taking on some of these challenges. So whether it might be a CSS challenge, a threshold development challenge, basically over the course of 10 weeks, getting involved with that is still really good fun. You might not take it too seriously, but just knowing that you're actually still improving or at least maintaining your health and fitness is a really important thing and a great motivator too. So I really hope you've enjoyed these tips. If you're a lifetime swimmer, firstly, kudos to you. I mentioned at the start, I want to be like you. It is literally my life's ambition to make sure that I'm swimming literally to the day I die. So on you, mate, as they say over here in Australia. You're doing great. Keep up that consistency, and we'd love to see you joining in with some of our community aspects and joining in with our virtual squad program wherever you are, and let us know how you're getting on. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.